Stuck in the closet.
Hey, wait, hold on a second.
Get under the covers.
Last time you also said the time was exactly 9:50 p.m. How is that even possible? The odds are, let me see, 1,440 to 1. Either you're messing with me or this is an incredible coincidence. 9:50 p.m. the exact moment in the day when you decide it's time to play video games. 9:50 p.m. rolls around and it's wahoo, video game time. Well, yeah. Is it specifically the time at which you like to play the Stanley Parable? Regardless of the specifics, it's an incredible example of effective scheduling. Excuse me, I'm getting a little bit lost in the weeds here. Go on, get out of here and just play the game already. But I'm looking forward to seeing you again at 9:50 p.m. Please come back soon.
Wasn't prepared for that.
For all you know, next thing you're going to say, we're streaming.
Oh man, I love how the title just is now Stanley Parable 2.
The game is evolved.
We have so much stuff to still get through.
This is the story.
Okay, we've done the beginning several times. Achievement unlocked, welcome back!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I like work, I just hate my boss.
Yep, that's my feeling.
Figurine Finders Committee meeting today in the meeting room.
He hates a strong word.
So we're grabbing
The confusion
bucket
and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
What happens if you just ignore the bucket?
I assume that it goes towards the regular endings, but we're getting the bucket versions of the endings.
Okay.
You'll be terrified and mortified by every single existential threat that threatens your feeble little mind.
Because my guess, if I had to hazard a guess, would be that the narrator would take you ignoring the bucket very personally.
Okay, I know one of the figurines is down the stairs. We technically already did the version of that without the bucket. I want to see it with the bucket now. Like stairs, something to do with stairs. Yeah.
There's an actual there's an actual checklist that stays updated.
Yeah.
Coming to a
Shows you
staircase,
where they are.
Stanley and the bucket
Hilarious.
walked upstairs to the boss's office. Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Be vastly superior if it wasn't just
Stanley
a
just
fifth
couldn't do
figurine.
it.
It was one of those
He
like
considered the
drawstring
possibility of
ones.
facing his
You press
boss,
the button and it
admitting
goes
he had
slack.
left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket turned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal,
It says proper
everyday
Stanley
bucket.
on it.
Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this.
Drops a
Who knows
bucket.
what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket
buckets
after the
everywhere
next.
now.
None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. He doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Oh no. What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed him. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Weird, why'd that start over?
It's a secret. Or a red herring. It's either one or the other.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
It just never ends.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1,000. Penalty for jumping from off cargo lift, $5,000.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to
That's
him.
interesting.
It should
That's
have
where the
alarmed
figure
him,
is
of
over
course,
there.
because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yeah, that's new over there.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now the bucket's malevolent.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press G to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Like, this is more Portal than usual.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object?
The beige pages.
I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't
Can also
do
be used to
anything
transport
else.
solids.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press R for us to go back up.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket, his stupid hunk of metal.
Press Q to ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
Frederick
You believe
asks,
I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press H to go back home.
Frederick
Yes, I
asks,
suppose
please
on
lower the
closer
bumpscosity, it's
It
making me
doesn't quite
uncomfortable.
look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
There's a bucket on this jazz music poster.
Why wouldn't there
To
be?
relive the same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Go home to work to home to work to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No.
No,
Why do I
no.
want to be with the bucket?
The love triangle started.
Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Oh my.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give
Close
it
your
or I'll...
eyes.
Man.
Okay.
Go back to work, Stanley.
So I've been trying to work on the Dogman thing this
All of
week,
his
or basically
coworkers
the
were
VN
gone.
novel
What could it
engine in
mean?
general.
Stanley
And I
decided
just
to go to the
finished
meeting
one
room.
thing
Perhaps
that I
he'd
had
said
originally
Stanley
scheduled
picked
to
up the
finish on
bucket and
Tuesday.
smiled. He'd never
So it's
be
gonna take
alone
twice
again.
as long as I
Truly
thought.
alone.
Oh boy.
Not with the bucket around.
They're really gonna get every penny out of this bucket that they can, aren't
Yeah,
they?
apparently.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket...
Well, you paid for something. It might as well be a
telling him
bucket.
that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Okay, now,
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one. And then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
We were so innocent back then.
yeah. So it's this way. This is also new.
Slice?
Everything is new except for the old things.
Bunch of cassette tapes on the ground.
I haven't seen those since I was born.
Nothing is new.
You haven't seen those since you were born.
Yeah.
This is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms.
Yeah, I look
Why
at that.
everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there? Camporata.
All seems normal to me.
I want to see
Yeah,
that
I'm
without
gonna
the bucket
say.
now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
I
Perhaps
love how
he had
Chad
severe
said the
memo.
bucket is an Eldritch Horror confirmed. Now we actually know it's literally an Eldritch Horror. We even know its name.
So,
Yay! I always knew it had it in it.
Yeah, skip the bucket, go back to the same
Oh.
place.
Eldritch Horror. Okay, I did.
What did you think he said?
When Stanley came
Something
to a set
I had
of
no
two
idea
open
what it
doors,
meant,
this was not the
Eldritch
correct
Horror.
way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee
the world's
lounge
big,
first,
Yeah,
okay?
see, without the
just to
bucket,
admire
we
it.
just go back to the original.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper. Something darker.
Well, if you want to try and find everything in the new version of this game, and you make
But
a list
eager
of all
to
the
get back to
changes,
business,
would that be
Stanley
called
took
a
the
bucket
first
list?
open door on his left.
Like, As Steven said, someone was to be seeing fucking stoners out over.
Yes, I have the defeated sigh. That's the ultimate desire of somebody who makes a pun.
It's true.
Bucket zoners.
Stanley
Yes,
had now
bucket
gotten himself
zoners.
so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. Was so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. Was so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. Was so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. Was so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had
You
begun.
didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
So petulant.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again. The good old bucket.
Grab
Just
the bucket
Stanley
again.
and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Sound bored.
Clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh yeah, the red and blue room, so you do that next time.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
There it is.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk.
Certificate of pompousness.
Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes,
Was the
this
bucket
is certainly the most
God?
logical explanation.
Okay, we're gonna do the nuclear ending now.
Yay, nukes!
I'm not gonna play with the bucket anymore. He's too powerful.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an
Bucket
unknown
2 OP,
fate.
please nerf.
It would
Yes,
be all
exactly.
Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
I've been watching this
Soothing
YouTube
him,
channel over the last couple
comforting him,
days called
reassuring that
Tears
in this
Zoo,
darkest moment of
and it keeps
uncertainty,
talking about
he
different
would be all right.
like genuses of
The bucket
animals
is here
as
for
though
you,
they're
Stanley.
video
Everything
game classes.
will be fine.
He was just like, F tier is the Kiwi because they have
Stanley
lacking
and the bucket walked
mobility
straight
and
ahead through the large door that
are
read,
not good when
Mind
predator
Control
classes show up
Facility.
in the same map.
That's fair. And
Lights
dare I
rose
even
on
say
an
valid.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life. and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
But Stanley was a liar.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raised furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
The bucket was the mastermind all along.
No!
Okay.
He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Yeah, I'm going to predict that the bucket betrays Stanley for this ending.
Of course.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Now he has a tie.
Birds. Silly
birds.
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Okay, this is the birds ending now.
Take note, Miller.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
See a single video of peregrine falcons in there. We are not a silly bird.
Wait,
okay, no.
Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible?
Okay, we gotta do
They
red,
never
blue.
stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
You're not mistaken, Stanley. And don't call me Shirley.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not.
This game is just all buckets all the time now, huh?
Yes, it is.
Telling him that
Oh, you can always.
I mean, the bucket is a stand-in for a companion character, so...
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
I mean, you could go ahead without the bucket, right? Probably just go back to the original stuff, though.
Stanley took the door on his left.
Yes, we
to
will
go
do
back
that,
to the
but
meeting
there's
room.
also bucket content that we need to see.
Said the bucket.
I want to see
Yeah.
Go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the Good,
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless... What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
I believe that.
Please,
So.
step in here for a moment.
Okay.
I feel like
Got a
it
bunch of gift subs from Ashley.
Oh.
Thank you, Ashley, for the gift subs.
So we were arguing in chat, and I said, you all owe Rick a sub as payback, and Ashley said, okay.
Test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know
Box is
about
also
what
giving
is
gift subs.
or is not a bucket. Okay, let's
Thank you,
begin.
Boxer. So,
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Pressure.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Then it costs un bucket.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
I would argue that's a bucket still. Doesn't matter if it's been 3D printed.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
everything we
Incorrect.
answer is going to
This
be
is
wrong.
a bucket.
Yes, but I think the explanations when we say yes
Item
are funnier.
4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I think this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
I want to know how it would have told you were wrong if you said no, it isn't a bucket.
Well, we're going to find out
Is this
now.
a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
No explanation whatsoever.
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What?
What?
It is and is not a bucket. There you go.
Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
I don't know about a bucket, but here's the question. Is a hole something or is a hole nothing?
It's a whole lot of nothing.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift.
Well, now you know
Do any
what
of
I'm
us
feeling.
know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Yes.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Can you erase the entire game?
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Guys, that predicted the game. God.
How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
What is a bucket except a thing which contains another thing?
You're blowing my mind right now, Rick.
Cylindrical prism with only one cap.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I mean, but yes, what you said, the thing that is a container for other things.
Okay, going to go to...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply, madly love. But eager to get back to business,
Snake!
Stanley took the
Love
first open
balloon
door
in the
on his
office.
Stanley was so bad
Were
at
his
following
palms
directions,
sweaty?
it's
Was it
incredible he
mom's
wasn't 5
spaghetti?
years ago.
Were his name's weak? Were his lines
Stanley,
forgetty?
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
And a
There's
bucket.
someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
I don't know if I can go back at this point.
Okay.
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
My completionism has been
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
I like the way you said bread.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you really think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want?
Yes, surely that is
skill trees,
a developer flaw in
You've given
this.
me absolutely nothing so far.
Clearly designed
Tell you what,
unfinished
let me take a
levels.
stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, well, now this is useful. You didn't like it, but you didn't totally hate it either. You enjoyed it, perhaps is the correct term. It didn't cause you excruciating pain. Big steps we've made here today, Stanley. Here,
That sounds like something
based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. To be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Stanley Parable Worldwide Leaderboard. Only the worst 3% of players chose the blue door. This is you at the bottom. You objectively ranked 9,328 out of 9,328 players worldwide. Why not ask from some friends for help? Error friends list empty.
Rick, why need some friends?
98.9% of players are more attractive than Stanley.
A dead rat is not fine.
Dead rat is objectively ranked. Compete against others to improve your Stanley Parable career.
Man, this game just got
Now,
competitive.
would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
I just remember in the original version of this game, it was actually possible to play this for 4 hours.
Yes, it is possible to play it for 4 hours. You get an achievement for it. Well, anyway.
You heartless bastard. Did you play because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain?
See, I feel so upset because there was a game that did literally have this kind of message. It's a lot better
this seems like it'll work.
gameplay.
Let's give it a shot.
If you've never played it, please go play That Dragon Cancer. Is a game about
this is a completely different
what do you
game.
Think this game is about, Stanley.
We're in Firewatch now.
Story? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of erotic purpose. Yes.
Who Firewatches the Firewatch?
Venture into the experience of total mental
I love spying from my creep tower.
I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see
and
what
you
else
can
is
even
out
see
there.
the tower of the woman you're watching. There she is. She's in the other Firewatch tower.
Oh, no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, Just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
What, like Skyrim?
Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful.
Rocket League.
See, this is exactly what I had in mind.
Wow.
Just a
Even I
nice big
recognize.
box filled with
I
around
recognize
it.
this.
There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this
For a minute, I was going to
is
say
game
Overwatch.
design.
No.
Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Hey.
Oh my god. It's just Rocket League as a first person running on the ground.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a... Hold on, what are you doing?
Whoops.
Like I had asked. Hello.
Oh, fell
Stanley,
out.
don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
You have fallen into the game developer's GitHub account. The infinite unfinished prototypes
Portal.
in there.
Unfinished Portal.
Unfinished what?
Portal.
Oh, okay. That's totally what I thought you said.
Is this the original mod?
It might be.
Dog barking.
Oh yeah, that's on my end, sorry.
Oh,
Woof woof.
I thought it was a game.
Nope, 'tis background noise from the greatest game of all, real life.
Like, tap, tap, tap. Tappity?
Tippity tappity hoppity hap. Flippity flappity floppity flap.
I light at the end of the tunnel.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way.
Yes.
Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Diamond says, I think they might have re-recorded some of the original dialogue. I'm pretty sure they did. Especially since some of the lines are clearly rewritten a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's just... it's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one.
Of course there's something
Wasn't
to
it
do.
just the most intrinsically
You did all the
fulfilling moment of
figglies.
your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
We are back in the memory zone.
Good memories.
Why not?
I see there's no bucket here.
Zone, sweet zone. Okay. I don't think anything else has changed in here except this pedestal's empty. That was the boxed version.
Oh, sorry.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
7 of 6.
I give this game a 7.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Third one, this one.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
I wouldn't count on that.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink
He's
room.
like, my third time wasn't
I
that
can't
great.
actually say I remember it, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Okay, this is gonna get weird.
No kidding.
10.
Because we've never been in this room
It's
before.
Weird.
It's only a matter of when it starts getting weird. It ramps up slowly.
Hi, baby. Yeah. You're a good baby.
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
This is actual. Oh my.
Fucking Windows Movie Maker.
You got office vibes here.
Fucking like late 90s, early 2000s butt rock.
Starring Stanley. Copyright the narrator.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Man, it probably took me half hour just to figure that out.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the Final Figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
You are in
And
the
then
present.
there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the Memory Zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Oh no.
Oh, this is gonna go bad.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the Memory Zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
13.
I like going back and doing things a second time as well, but not like this.
Not like this!
It just hurts your head.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
Oh, God.
I'm surprised you didn't do it in reverse.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Alright, how high is that counter gonna go? I'm guessing more than 300.
Hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
I'm trying to think what's going to stop at 30. I've also figured an absurd number, but I'm going to go stick with 30. What's under the stairs?
I can't actually go this direction. Okay.
Wow. Narrator, you were trying to pull a jinx on us, weren't you? Or meaty on us.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going.
Yoink.
This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley.
I still like that
I want to
background.
keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Okay, we're back at the expo now.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
He's gone mad, or is in the process
More
of going
memories.
mad.
We want
More.
more memories.
More!
Yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Let's go to the same room. Yep. Back
And
into
before
the office.
everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Is this it?
The death of Stanley.
Just a light breeze of bumpscosity in here at the moment, not bad. I personally enjoy a bit more bumpscosity, but at this amount it's absolutely reasonable.
That's according to Federic, it isn't.
The sequel is now paused. No, let's turn the bumpscosity up. 50. Up to 50. There we go.
It was at 100. You slid the slider up, and now it's at 50.
Listen, that's just how it is with bumpscosity.
Yeah, I
When
understand.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he
Something
entered
had
the
a game.
door
He
on
called
his
it
left.
backcostity.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic, like a combination of a much smaller version and a much larger version of this exact room. It all made Stanley uncomfortable, and he started to bleed a little. This made him smile. At last, proof that he was human.
Wow.
But
Is that
eager
the
to
original?
get back to business, Stanley took the first open door
Maybe.
on his left.
I completely forgot all the dialogue that he had for the...
I was gonna say, who
Stanley
can
was so
remember
bad
for
at
sure how
following
much of this
directions, it's
was?
incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone. As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Okay.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought.
Why does this guy look like Disney?
Why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back."
Those damn colorists. They make no sense. They're not real.
Excellent.
Practice.
Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Yeah, they added, like, a bunch more stuff to that slideshow. They fixed this bug.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform.
What, a real bug?
Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all.
In the original, you could step off this platform just as it was moving.
Contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
And then you could actually jump down to the floor without anything happening. There was no
The game didn't recognize that you had made a wrong choice.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
I don't want to go to the real world.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
And they blocked off the stairs down. That was in the original, but...
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, But now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code. Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Night Shark 155. Oh, this game doesn't actually connect to your microphone. How about that?
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Should have thought about that.
I wonder if you walk up to the
fine.
microphone and type in
Night
Night Shark 115.
It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
I think this is going to be a separate joke for him to speak into the mic, and he never does it. Okay.
I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
And the game went bloop.
It did go bloop.
The game was like, no, I can't let you do that to him.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child.
How rude.
My story... If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay, we're getting meta here now. Again.
Again.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me?
Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
This frickin' game.
Welcome, Stanley, to heaven.
What? Oh, this. I forgot about this.
Well, Stoker expected that to be the real ending. Hello, kitchen.
Heaven is just being perpetually surrounded by multicolored bubble wrap.
Exactly.
Yeah, geez, haven't you ever read the Bible?
To be honest, no, I've never sat down and read the Bible.
The Bible.
It's a real babble.
Okay.
It's a real page turner.
That's all that there is in heaven.
Yeah, let's not go to heaven.
Quite a pleasant amount of bumpscosity we've got today, wouldn't you say? Very enjoyable.
It's a pretty thick amount of bumpscosity, to be honest. IMO.
Now, when you say thick, do you mean thick or thickic?
I mean, THICCCCCCC.
That's thickic.
When Stanley
The
came
girl
to
in
the
there,
set of
Jonas.
doors, he
Hello,
entered
Jonas.
the door on his
Oh, hello,
way.
Jonas.
This game just got more bumpgosity.
You know, we've raised the bumpscosity a little bit.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
We had a whole lot of
Disbelief,
bucket times.
Stanley decided to go up to his
see.
boss's
We are
office,
going to have more,
hoping he
but-
might find an answer there.
How was the stream?
Coming
I
to a
meant to
staircase,
come in and then
Stanley
I
walked
didn't.
upstairs to his
That was pretty
boss's
good.
office.
I ended up mostly working on the shading for one.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was
That
once again
happens.
stunned to discover not an indication
But it's
of
done,
any
so that's
human
good
life.
for me.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in
2, 8,
disbelief
4,
who
5?
orchestrated this.
Yes,
What
2, 8,
dark
4, 5.
secret was being held from him? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single
Anything
minute to
really
just
crazy
let
happen
the
here?
narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Yeah, now teach Stanley.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Hey Jonas, do you remember that one bit of Christmas audio from what's his name, Kevin Brighton?
Yeah, I was like crackling fire, and I forget what he said.
Stanley walked straight ahead
He's
to
like-
a large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I remember I cracked up.
Yeah, it was something about like a nice, warm, crackling, soothing fire, and then he was like, and then burn all the
was on an
fuckers
enormous
inside.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley.
Jeez.
Time doesn't grow on trees.
Oh, I put in 2 hours.
Dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley?
Silly, the button
This
guy.
video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley,
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Sure loves
I was asking, why does an office have a self-destruct feature? Well, it's an evil office, so.
Yeah.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Let's do the confusion editing with the bucket.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
The bucket didn't say much of the evil stuff the narrator did he?
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
What?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before.
It's an intervention, Stanley.
I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Yep. Truck actually moved.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
That's the way it should be. It's like, wee, Rick.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Jeez, not
Don't
the bucket.
Get it, Stanley. We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
Yes.
Here.
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
You must euthanize your bucket.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
He just got sick and tired. He just pulled a gun out and shot the bucket. What?
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Narrator, was the Bucket Destroyer your bucket? Come on.
Every time I think I'm prepared for the next thing this game throws at you.
See, I was very worried because we've already established everything except for Stanley and the narrator
Stanley
is a
bucket.
bucket. Layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Ah, the embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
I'm curious
Stanley
if there's
had
another
felt the
thing that it
bucket
does if
calling
you
to
do
him,
destroy the
telling
bucket.
him that the employee
I'm curious
lounge
too,
is
actually.
simply the place to be.
Playing with
I
fire.
was thinking the same
And
thing.
here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Oh, good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure
Stanley
Line and the
and his
Broom
squad.
Closet. Because
We'll
that's
never
what
guess.
fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Rick, did you ever find yourself in the serious room
Now
in
this
the
is
original?
what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember
I think
all
I managed
those
to do
great
that
jokes
once.
from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go
I'm
ahead
still
now, Stanley.
confused on that, actually.
Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Is the bucket looking at you?
Now listen
It's
to
sad.
me. It's crucial that you give it the
That-
bucket.
it doesn't let you destroy the
I don't know what the
bucket?
bucket
Okay.
destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying
So you just
buckets
can't do
is
it.
all it knows.
Can't
That
press
is
E or
its
click on it
singular
or anything.
Personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the bucket destroyer,
True,
you would see
there's the
that its
bucket between
design
the
to
eye
crush
every time you try to
buckets
put
is
it
so
in.
densely loaded.
Okay.
Did you manage it?
No.
Oh.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
In time, perhaps.
And there we go.
Says, what the?
Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder.
What is happening? Stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
And then Stanley was dead.
Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Wow. That was something.
But what? What was
How
it?
wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
This is the end.
Now the end is never the end.
It's never the end, it's never the end, it's never
Not
the end.
everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Very lucky.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
Oh
entered the door on his left.
Oh my.
It's time for George Decay.
Which one? Museum ending.
Stanley and the bucket going to be in the museum.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Alki says, did you click the door 435 times with
office,
buckets?
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Alice side, did you click on door 435 times with the bucket? I should do that.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
madness.
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Okay.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Bucket.
Bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourselves and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
I like darkness.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of his euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once.
That is... I think that's a few more than 25.
A little bit.
Like 28? Maybe 29?
Exactly 25. This game wouldn't lie to us.
Bucket with two handles. This bucket is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it.
Man, when they went to town with the bucket jokes, they did go to town.
Inferno Bucket, a replica of the Inferno Bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains no one can control a bucket.
It's true. I've tried. Damn near killed me.
This game goes all in.
Cave drawing.
Yeah, it goes all in the bucket.
While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowed itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures.
I love the
no man
rhythmic
can own a
chanting.
bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
I mean, man has on many occasions kneeled before a bucket.
The stress bucket presented without commentary.
Particularly on a Friday night.
The stress bucket, an analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance all go into the bucket. Vulnerability equals the size and strength of the bucket. And the faucet, stress equals the level of water in the bucket. Coping strategies equal holes. Rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy, rest and relaxation.
Yeah, we know that.
That's deep, man.
What?
That's what they were saying back there.
Oh, okay.
Caveman.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes a necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good.
You touched it. How could you?
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
What the hell?
Wow.
I think the idea with the bucket is just to do all the endings except the opposite.
Maybe Stanley's the bucket all along.
Stanley could never be as glorious as a bucket.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room,
proper respect to
but
the bucket.
Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone,
said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm dunny with the funny" now.
I'm dunny with the funny.
Good.
I'm
This
dunny
scene is a
with the
perfect
funny.
example of
I'm
expectations
dunny with the
management,
funny.
which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Are you doing your part?
Goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
They're dunny with the funny.
We're never dunny
I
with
can
the
feel
funny.
it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches.
Or a broker with the
You'll
stoker.
say how ridiculous.
The funny is never
how
dunny, is
absurd.
never
what
dunny.
a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Talk to the television. You'll get it.
Yes, baby, you're super adorable.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room.
You have to explain it, Joe. There is no joke.
I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Before that happens, Rick's like shaking his head.
You love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley.
Oh God, I actually laughed at that.
How unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again.
Okay, addicted to YouTube narrator.
Let's see.
That was good, though.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace.
I wonder how many more endings there are.
Compassionate. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
All right, out of the way, Rick. I got my trigger finger ready.
No, I'm still not feeling it. You see, now that you've gotten the bucket involved, my standards have gone up. Merely clicking a single door is no longer enough. Now, I want to see you press this bucket against multiple doors. Now that's the kind of thing that merits an achievement. Why don't you put 20 bucket touches into door 417?
Insane.
What'd you say, Jonas?
I said this game could legitimately drive you insane.
That's what happened to me, Jonas.
Okay.
Okay, great. Now,
you like my
go
laugh?
touch the bucket on door 437 a few times. Yes, now we're getting somewhere. How about door 415? Give it some bucket love.
Please don't say it like that.
He is going to say it like that.
He's going to say it, yes.
Now back to door number 437.
It's like love with a bucket.
We had a bucket on a bed. I mean, he's going to... It gets there.
I think the copy machine needs some attention. Why don't you rub the bucket on it a bit? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now bring the bucket on top of employee 419's desk.
Yeah, I noticed that too, Stephen.
Yes, this is great. Now the bucket knows exactly what it's like to be employee 419. Now, let's introduce it to door 416. We've almost got it. Now make the bucket and the copy machine touch again. Finish it off, Stanley. 5 touches of the bucket on door 430. Yes! We did it! Wow!
Even unlocked.
That felt amazing.
Click on door 4305 times.
Not all buckets will get this kind of experience. They won't all know what it's like to slam repeatedly against nearly every door in one section of an office building. Or what it's like to be employee 419. Buckets may dream of an experience like this, but few can say they've truly lived it. You've given a bucket hope today. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
I'm starting to lose my mind.
All the were gone. What could it be?
Anything else that I can do with the
decided to go to
bucket?
the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Let's see.
We have to have one more. All right, I don't know what else there is, so I'll go for it.
I love this, but I'm starting to lose my mind.
Can't go back into the office, so you can't do that ending with a bucket. Went out there. Went to the 2 doors, which had a no bucket sign. We did that one. The was a bucket game show. We answered the phone with a bucket. We unplugged the phone with a bucket. See, we went to the basement with the bucket. We went to the broom closet with a bucket.
You ever think of how strange this sounds devoid of context?
Yeah. We went down the escape path with the bucket. We pressed the off button with the bucket. We pressed the on button with the bucket. And, also we went to the escape pod with the bucket.
Actually, I just remembered. Self-destruct. Did we do that with the bucket?
Yeah, we did that. It was
we did.
Birds.
Yeah, it was just birds. You missed a lot, Jonas.
Yeah.
It's birds all the way down.
And we also got that new thing in the warehouse by going into the back room.
Yes.
Yes, Frederick, you are allowed to suggest an ending.
Do you think this game was deliberately made to be a completionist nightmare, or is it's just that way by design?
I mean,
yes.
Maybe.
It
definitely has a slight contempt for those who sort
No
of
matter how hard Stanley
abstract
looked,
video
he
games
couldn't
and
find a
don't buy
trace
into
of his
the
co-workers.
the disbelief. What is the term I'm thinking of?
He says, fell for one, go through the elevator after the boss's office.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Sick of this gag.
Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected Continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my god.
Don't touch me in the bad way.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Or did he?
Yet
I don't even know anymore.
Single person here either. Feeling a wave
Was
of
there?
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I just realized, were you supposed to take the bucket here?
Okay, I think we all know the
don't
drill
have
by
to.
now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Oh, man, he's not... Is the narrator getting bored of us?
He's just not having it anymore.
Yes, Oceano,
yes,
we did go to the White Void with the bucket.
Yes, we killed the bucket.
Do 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 do.
Whoops.
Do do do
Nope.
do do do.
Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
Okay, I didn't know this one.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat. Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Love how there's still a loading zone between them.
Oh my god. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
I wish you could see the look on my face.
I can hear the look on your face.
Let me draw it. Hang on.
Okay, I'm ready.
Just like grab your phone, turn on the selfie cam, and just draw what you see.
No, wait. No, I need more time to process.
There is like
killing me.
He needs a time out from this call.
I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
You know that music? I just realized it reminds me of the annoying
How
dog.
did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before.
Stanley was the annoying
frame of
dog all
reference
along.
to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Nope, Stanley just wants to ride the elevator.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting.
You know,
Why don't
I'm
we
waiting
take
for
this
there to be a
elevator
moment
ride
when it
nice
actually does change.
There, I dropped in the Discord.
There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big,
That should be your new
explosive
gamer
moments
icon.
flying right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley.
I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh good, we're here. Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
World's Health. How we did it, the pyramid.
I'm the guy who went to Mars. So, all eyes on Stanley live on stage.
Hand for writing, for being able to read these lines.
An evening with world peace, baby.
World peace,
Yes,
baby.
here it is, just through this door.
Q&A with the world's first sentient machine. Stanley Parable Stanley tonight, live on stage. The man, the process, the myth, the legend, the parable, Stanley from the Stanley Parable.
Remember to look around the staircase
Right.
for
Are
a
you
little
ready?
thingy.
I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a
Stanley
truly
Ryder.
unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry. You'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley.
Stanley Ryder
Okay,
owns chair,
it looks like they're ready for you. Go get 'em.
.27. Congratulations, Stanley. Remember where you came from. Your coworkers. Story. Stanley. Me.
Dad.
H6. Thanks for showing me that cool skateboard trick in the parking lot. You are too cool. Good luck on stage. Rock on. Break a leg, champ. You're a boss. I love the way you ride elevators. Heart XX. Stanley. My true love for you grows every day. You make me feel alive. Your wife from the apartment ending. No one tells stories the way you do. Go get him, Tiger.
It's the metal staircase, apparently, that he's talking about. Just poke around at it, apparently.
Up again, down again. The Stanley story. The dude who came up with pizza.
That must be what Frederick wanted us to see!
Oh, posters up here. The Lord meet and greet. Doing great, a conversation with Alexander the Great.
So if he says, see, we owe everything to that guy. The dude who came up with... Man, I want pizza now. How dare.
How dare.
The depth of the sarcasm!
And Stanley never spoke again.
That's it.
Yeah.
How wonderful.
That may have been my favorite ending so far.
This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along.
Steven says, remember to bring the bucket here. Okay, remember, bucket for the elevator ending. But, right now we're past midnight.
Yes.
Yes, and I think all of us need to give our brains a moment. Just a moment.
At this point, yes. I was really, really enjoying the ride, but yes, I'm starting to see the repetitive nature of this game now. Which is, I actually expected when I first went into this, because I heard it, well, I didn't hear so much here about it, but I realized this was going to be that kind of game when I saw the cover.
Locked achievements. Beat the game, complete the Stanley Parable.
That's a locked achievement?
I have not beaten the Stanley Parable yet. I'm assuming that's get all endings. Well, get all the regular endings.
Yeah.
Test
I'm
achievement,
guessing.
please ignore. 888888888. Speedrun. Complete the Stanley Parable in under 4 minutes 22 seconds, not including load times.
Rick, are you actually going to 100%? I mean,
no.
Okay.
9.3% of players have speedrun. Commitment, play the Stanley Parable for the entire duration of a Tuesday. Super go outside, don't play the Stanley Parable for 10 years.
Are you kidding me?
No, we're not kidding you.
Not kidding you.
Why would we joke about something like that, Jonas? That would be sick.
Sick birds.
Yeah.
I
I love it when your brain just melts right out of your ears. It's my favorite.
I'm like double blue screening right now.
With a dash of vanilla and chocolate on it.
Sure.
A vanilla chocolate crash.
The vanilla chocolate crash. I remember the great vanilla chocolate crash of 2022.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this happened.
This did happen. You have just experienced this.
Yeah.
Jonas is so shocked.
And I suppose Jonas join us tomorrow for more of this.
Quiet little despair in your voice.
Remember, everybody, the end is never the end. Is never the end. Is never the end. Is never the end.
It's never the end. It's never the end. It's never the end. It's never the end. Okay.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.